Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Behind me, I got a 07 Toyota Corolla with a 2.4 liter engine. It has around 143,000 miles on it, and today I'm going to show you how to replace the alternator on one of these. Now, I've already gone ahead and diagnosed it. It's basically just not outputting voltage. It's outputting like 10.4 volts, which typically means that the alternator has failed. So before we go ahead and begin, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below and definitely smash that like button because it helps the channel out. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started on today's video. So first things first, whenever you're doing a alternator, you're gonna have to disconnect your battery. So what we're gonna do is start off by removing the 10mm bolt that is holding in our negative battery terminal. So we're gonna use our 1/4-inch ratchet, and we're just gonna go ahead and disconnect the negative cable. And the reason why you want to do this is because you can't have a live circuit, otherwise you will spark something out and create an issue. So now that we have that off, we're going to go ahead and focus in on our alternator. Now the alternator, if I zoom people in, which is about right there, it's going to be right up top here. These are actually really simple to do, but you know, sometimes they look like they're very complicated. So where I always like to begin is I like to get this little engine cover out of the way. It's two 10mm fasteners, and you just pull it up and off just like that, and you get all of your room here. Now, what I always like to check on this is check your belt, see if it's in good condition or not. If it's not in good shape, go ahead and replace it. Now on this particular vehicle, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just replace it because I'm already gonna take it off, and it looks like it's pretty old. So when you're going to go buy your parts, always think of your belt when you're doing something like this. Normally I would also say check all of your other idler pulleys or tensioner pulleys to make sure those aren't bad as well. Now you won't know if those are good or bad until you actually remove your belt, but for the mean part of this video, I just want to make sure ahead of time that you guys are aware what to look out for, because sometimes you'll find that you get a belt and an alternator, you start doing the job, and then you may have a pulley that you need, and it'll cause you to go back to the store back and forth. So just a heads up, if you're able to open this up prior, check everything out, probably be the best way to do it. So where we're going to begin, now that our cover is off and we got all the room that we need, we're going to have to take our belt off. And these vehicles have a belt tensioner that is pretty simple but kind of difficult to get to. So I'm going to zoom the camera on in here, and hopefully I can show everyone. But right about here, you guys will see that is our belt tensioner, and there's a 19mm little slot here that we're going to be putting our wrench on to be able to remove the belt. Now I'm not going to be able to get everyone zoomed in there, so I'm going to put the camera at that angle there. We have a 19mm on our ratchet, and it's not as bad as it looks on video, but we're going to go ahead and put it in there. Now I don't remember which way these are supposed to go, so you're actually, I believe you're going to be going down. Don't ever just start pushing up in a certain direction until you figure it out. Now this one, there you go. So we push down this way, and then we're going to go ahead and take our belt off. Now if you're not replacing the belt, all you have to do is just kind of leave it off to the side like that, and you should be all right. Now even though I'm replacing it, since I haven't really taken note of the belt diagram for this one, I'm going to leave it on just for the time being, and I'm going to take a look at it here after this clip. So now I have everyone zoomed in, and what I like to do is kind of remove a few of these looming wires here. We have our power wire, and then we have this connector for our variable valve timing solenoid. There's going to be this little bracket down here that holds our wires to our alternator. It has a little slip plastic ring we can remove on there. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and push the tab, and we're just going to remove our VVT actuator solenoid. And down here we have our little blue tab, and it's going to be very difficult to show. Even me, I'm having a hard time looking at it here, but we should be able to release it. Now I'm going to need a little bit of extra lighting because there's a little bracket on your alternator, and there should be a little clip that I should be able to undo here to release this. And for some reason, this thing is just not wanting to play ball with me. So let me grab a flathead screwdriver and see if I can release it. When you work on older cars like this, sometimes things do not want to work with you. So you'll have to make them work. So I'm gonna use my screwdriver here to release the tab and go ahead and get that off the bracket. And I'll show everyone the bracket here once we get everything off. So that's loose. Now we also have our connector for our alternator, which we should be able to just push in. I'm gonna use one hand to push it in, another hand to pull it out, and that'll get that out of the way. Now you don't have to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm gonna sneak in here and I can see where my connector for my AC compressor goes, because it's only one wire. I don't like risking it, so I'm going to pull on the tab here, and I'm gonna have to get both hands in here. These connectors, as these cars age, do not like to come off as easy, but we basically got our wiring and everything sort of up and out of the way. Then we're gonna pull on our little protector here for our positive terminal going to our alternator. And be very careful with these. Again, they are prone to breaking. If you find that any of them are kind of resisting you, I like to take a pick. Let me see here. Grab my pick and just kind of lift up on them. This one is extra stubborn for whatever reason here. This plastic, I guess, has seen better days. Let me see if I can work on it. It doesn't help that my pick is kind of bent either, because normally what I would do is just grab it in here and it should pull out. But a little struggle ain't bad here. Now the reason why this is not working, because see my pick, it's bent upward. Been meaning to get it replaced, it's just haven't had the time. So let me see if I have a different pick. Let me see if I can use my hook pick here to just get this to pop up. Sometimes people say it's the mechanic, but it is also the tools. Got to be able to have nice tools to be able to get stuff done. So that protector should stay on there. It has these little plastic hookups. So once we release it, you will notice that there is a 10mm nut on here. We're gonna go ahead and break this loose and take it off. Sometimes they can be fused on there just like that. This does carry a lot of electrical current, and it's not uncommon for them to get hot and kind of be stubborn. So go ahead and take that off. And now once we have that off like that, we have enough room to gently take all of our wires and give us a nice little opening here where we are going to be working. So we finally have our bottom bolt nice and loose, and we're gonna go ahead and pull it out. So I wound up using my electric ratchet and just a shorter socket, because I used my long socket originally to break it free. But you know, whatever works for you. There's many ways to do this as far as what choices you use in ratchets. That was just my way, and you saw if you have something that's too long, you'll back up that bolt and hit the frame and get your ratchet stuck. So avoid doing that. It's not really a big issue, but sometimes it can be. So now that we removed the bottom, I went ahead and got my top one off, and we should be able to just rock this bad boy back and forth here. Now, sometimes they're a little stubborn. This one's original. It's a 07. I anticipated to give me a little bit of a headache here, but just rock it back and forth, and you'll feel it come just like that, and it just let loose. Be careful with your AC line, and go ahead and pull off your alternator just like that. So let me get this over to my bench and get the new one. So we are here at the bench, and I almost forgot. So I basically put my two alternators, making sure that they are the same ones and they are the correct ones. So what I'm gonna do is, there's a bracket here. I already took it off the old one, which is this guy. This is what holds that wiring loom towards the bottom, the one that I had to use that little hook for. So what you're supposed to do is go ahead and just unscrew this little nut right here, and what we're supposed to do is swap this over, because they don't come with it. Now, I apologize for the background noise. We are in Chicago, and there's always something going on. I'm sure everyone heard that cop siren right there. But overall, what we're gonna do is go ahead and just bolt that back up. Sometimes you're not gonna be able to get your 8mm in here. What you have to do is push down on this little plastic cover or tin cover. These are actually aluminum or tin. I don't know why I said plastic. But basically just go ahead and swap that over and snug it up. Once you have it snugged up, you are ready to go. Just make sure you compare your alternators. Make sure they both look correct. Now for this one, I'm gonna see something here, because this one should have came with a nut and bolt. So I guess they just had that tightened up there, so I had to loosen it. We're gonna go ahead and just set that to the side. And we're gonna go ahead and take our new remanufactured alternator back to our car and throw it in there. So if you're gonna be replacing your belt, now's the best time. I've already gone ahead and looped my belt in. I was gonna try to record it, but it's a whole daunting task, and you know, we'll cover that in the future video. So what we're gonna do is just take your alternator, and you're gonna wanna gently just lay it back in here, and be careful, do not let it drop. And the best way to gauge this would be with this top bolt. Now, I should have been more prepared and had the bolts in my hand, but I wasn't. So let me grab my bolts here. And what I always like to do is start off by putting in the 12mm up top. I always find that hanging it that way is a little bit easier. So let me get my bolt started here. And the reason why I do the top is because it'll kind of hold it and let it hang and free float it for the bottom. So now that I got that top one in, I'm gonna go ahead and put my bottom one in. Everyone saw how simple that just went in there. And now this is the big thing. You wanna make sure that you get a lot of threading in here. You don't wanna just cross thread these. Otherwise, it will be a bad day. So I always recommend jiggling, wiggling it, turning it, just trying to get this threaded. Now these can be a little bit of a pain here. Let me see if I can switch my hand. Now one thing that helps, and I should have did this right off the bat here, because I know it's definitely going to help me, is I'm going to take my 12mm, if I can find where I put it, and using my ratchet here, I'm just going to tighten up this top bolt, not all the way, just start threading it in. So I got it almost threaded in, but not quite. You can see it's still loose. That'll help angle my alternator so I can get my bottom bolt lined up here. Because what I find is this bottom bolt always gives you an issue. And just like that, we got a couple threads on it. And I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know, tighten up my bolts now. There's no real torque that I use on these. I just use, you know, nice hand tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my ratchet and my socket, tighten up the bottom bolt, tighten up the top bolt, and then I'll bring you guys back in. Now that I got all of my bolts tightened up and everything is nice and snug, since my belt is on there, it's new and it can be a little finicky, I have a lot of room here now. I'm gonna go ahead and put my tool here back onto my tensioner. Now this is going to be a little bit of a challenge, all right? And what I'm gonna do now, hopefully I can get this without losing my belt where I have it placed. Replacing a belt is always a pain because the new belt doesn't quite want to conform. So you gotta be very careful. So I'm gonna pull on my tensioner, and this one actually wasn't that bad because I already had lined everything up. I'm gonna grab my tool out of here. Biggest thing to pay attention to, always go in, make sure that it's fully grooved in on all of your pulleys. Don't just assume that it's in, because sometimes I found out that you could be off and it can create an issue. So now that we have that done, we're just gonna go ahead and focus on our wiring. Now let's see if I can get mine out of here. Now my little cap came off here. And I don't know if anyone noticed this, but these little connectors are just falling apart, the little sheathing. I'm going to go ahead and fix that for this customer. And all you have to do is just take some electrical tape and just tape these up. Now, I can't really add any plastic to it, but what I can do is just wrap them up, give them some sort of protection. I wish I had some sort of wiring loom that I can add to this, but unfortunately I don't. So I'm just gonna add a layer of electrical tape. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. You won't probably have to do this to yours. I'm just doing it to this one because these things are falling apart. So I'll be right back with you guys once I have this taped up a little bit. All right, so I just took a minute here and just kind of put some protective tape over these areas. I wish I had some wiring loom. I didn't really anticipate this. I really don't keep any on hand. So this should suffice. So this is that little bracket that I was talking about, or little clip that goes on the bracket. And what you have to do is pull this out in order to release it. And this is for the air conditioner activation power wire to activate the compressor clutch. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this, slide it back onto the bracket. Should slide on just like that. Then I'm going to take my connector for my compressor, and we're gonna go ahead and plug that back in just like that. I'm also gonna go ahead and plug in my VVT solenoid. Make sure you listen for that audible snap. And then we're gonna take our main power wire with our new hardware that came with it. Now, I like using these nuts that come with this little like washer on them. I don't know exactly what these are called, but if your car or your new alternator didn't come with this, check your old alternator, see if it came with this style. These actually work a lot better than just a straight nut being on there. I will reuse the old one if necessary, especially if the new one is just a little nut and a sealing washer that they give you. I don't really tend to trust those too much. I've had problems in the past, but if you get a premium alternator, they usually give you a premium part. So mine came with it, so we're gonna use the new one. Now we're gonna go ahead and tighten that up nice and snug. Make sure our little plastic holder retainer clips in there. And last but not least, we're gonna plug in our voltage regulator that goes for our alternator here. And let me set this wrench down here. Make sure that it snaps into place just like that. Nice audible click. I always like to check my connections, make sure everything is in there. And once you do that, we should be all set as far as installing our alternator. Now, what we're gonna have to redo is we're gonna go to that battery and reconnect our negative terminal post, and then we're gonna go ahead and run this thing. So I went ahead and tested everything. Everything is good to go. Now I bet most of you forgot. You gotta put back your engine cover. Or if you were waiting to call me out saying, hey Mike, you didn't put it in. Well, I did, I didn't forget. So I always do this at the very end just because you never know if you're gonna have to remove anything again. Plus, I like to take a reading here at my alternator as well. I did that off camera, but right now we're just gonna go ahead and tighten up. And what is going on with this one? Oh, there you go. So now that is nice and tight, we are good to go. That'll pretty much complete this job. So we are all said and done. That is how easy it is to replace the alternator on these 2.4 liters. They're pretty quick, simple, and easy. The hardest thing on this is basically the tensioner and looping that belt if you're gonna be replacing your belt. Has a really weird, funky diagram, the way everything is supposed to wrap around there. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this video. Like always, comment, like, and subscribe because it definitely helps the channel grow. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next video.